about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I don't know if you've seen this over the last couple days, but there's a video. It's black and white where you see stars wearing a white T-shirt that has a middle finger, a Magen David or a Jewish star on it, and Kanye written. And it's a video in protest to Kanye West's tweets. He said a lot of things. I believe he even, I guess, identified as a Nazi, a lot of anti-Jewish rhetoric, and I think his talent agent dropped him. And so as a result of his blatant vocal anti-Semitism, there's a video that starts circulating of these stars that are wearing this T-shirt. Some of them even showing their finger. Now, when I saw this video, I knew it was fake. It took a while for me to learn AI videos, but when you see a whole bunch of stars all of a sudden quickly in a project, I just remember the We Are the World in the 80s. It took a while to herd everybody and to get them to do the We Are the World, We Are the Children, and who wants to be where. And I just know that it's not very easy to get a whole bunch of stars to get together to do something. They do things, but for something like this, I'm like, that got put together pretty quickly. So I don't know how real this is. But the idea was very cool in that you see Hollywood, show that they are standing up against hate, standing up against anti-Semitism. The problem is if these stars didn't really do that, and if they didn't sign up to do it, now, what do they say? Well, Scarlett Johansson, who I think is Jewish, has actually spoken out against the video. She's like, you used my likeness without my permission. She's been a big critic of AI, and she agreed with the message of, in fact, let me give you a quote. She agrees with speaking out against hate. Let me see if I have her quote here. Sorry about that, because I want to give credit where credit's due. She's condemned the misuse of AI no matter what is the messaging. She said, it has been brought to my attention by family members and friends that an AI-generated video featuring my likeness in response to an anti-Semitic view has been circulated online and gaining traction. I am a Jewish woman, she says, who has no tolerance for anti-Semitism or hate speech of any kind, but I also firmly believe that the potential for hate speech multiplied by AI is a far greater threat than any one person who takes accountability for it. We must call out the misuse of AI, no matter its messaging, or we risk losing a hold on reality. She says, I've unfortunately been a very public victim of AI, but the truth is that the threat of AI affects each and every one of us. She says there's a 1,000-foot wave coming regarding AI. And she said that several progressive countries, not including the United States, have responded to in a responsible manner. It is terrifying that the U.S. government is paralyzed when it comes to passing legislation that protects all of its citizens against the imminent dangers of AI. So she concludes by urging the U.S. government to make the passing of legislation limiting AI use a top priority. They say it is a bipartisan issue that enormously affects the intermediate future of humanity at large. So I think this was a swipe against Trump, who is looking to expand AI and its applications in medicine and other areas. But, when you see something like this, number one is Kanye West, a complete piece of work. I just don't, I don't give him the time of day. I don't listen to him. He goes on these rants. I don't know what he's smoking. And it's a shame that, we have people that really feel that way against a demographic such as Jews. And it's sad, it's heartbreaking, and for him to go and spread hate, it's sad, it's disgusting. This video, showing stars. Here's the problem with the video. If it was real, damn, that is a powerful message. But the fact that it had to be faked Now that almost highlights you don't have Hollywood support. You know, that video, it depends on who made the video. I think it might have been an Israeli who made the video. If the video was trying to wake up Hollywood and say, you probably should be doing this, well, then message received. But if the video was trying to tell people, look, Hollywood doesn't support this, but these Hollywood actors are like, no, I'm not involved. I wouldn't have gone out publicly if it wasn't for somebody faking my image. Then it almost can hurt the cause by we have to actually fake people's concern about hate speech. Now, I'm sure Adam Sandler, I'm sure David Schwimmer, I am sure a lot of the people in this video do disagree with what Kanye West did. But it's a shame that we're not really seeing this actually happen. So maybe this video was done to kind of wake these people up going, look, you're making a lot of money and you're not speaking out on this stuff. This is BS. And so it's interesting, but the ability to, and I got to tell you, the images are uncanny. And the reason why AI is able to do this is because when you watch movies and videos, between all the makeup and the filters, you're not really seeing the person in real life. John Hamm was, I guess, in a Kansas City Chiefs jersey, and he was at the Super Bowl. I almost didn't recognize him because how he looks in the movies looks different. So it's very easy for AI to do this because they can, they go, it's not you. This is how you look in real life. I added a lot of makeup. You know, it might resemble you, but AI could be made to make anything. And they do that. They have AI having President Trump saying things and Biden saying things and hot tubbing, and you see this all the time. And are we going to have a checks and balances, or do we just have to tell everybody that whatever you see is fake? Seeing is believing. Well, not anymore. All of this could be fake. You know, I'll see these gorgeous nature videos of an owl with the baby owls. I now assume everything's fake. But what shouldn't be fake is Hollywood and the world's outrage when somebody is screaming that they're Nazi and that they support anti-Semitism. That, we should be all vocal. 1-877 Dr. Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
O'Reilly. Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So a little bit of good news. The 2 American astronauts who have been trapped on the International Space Station since June could return to Earth earlier in March than expected. We spoke a little bit about this where they were hoping to bring them back by April. Now it might be brought up a little bit sooner. Veteran astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams were only supposed to be there for 8 days. They have been there now for more than 8 months. Why? Their Boeing Starliner spacecraft suffered propulsion problems. The U.S. Space Agency decided the Starliner would return home without its crew after carrying out weeks of intensive testing, and announced in August that it was taking Elon Musk's SpaceX to bring the crew home. Musk has committed to do that as soon as possible. I was thinking about that the other day because I'm seeing him working a lot with Doge, and I'm like, I hope he's also working on that. I mean, I'm glad he's working on Doge, and I understand he's delegating, and we have these young individuals who are, helping him. But I also hope he's kind of working on some of the other things too that we need, because I want to get those people back. And he's the type of boss that if workers need to know that he's around. And so I'm just wondering how he's doing it all. I'm glad he obviously is a success for some reason, but want to make sure that this is still also as much of a priority. Trust me, I love Doge, but I want to get these 2 people back as quickly as possible. They're not looking well. So a SpaceX mission called Crew 9, this is according to AFP, saw 2 astronauts arrive at the ISS in September aboard a Dragon spacecraft with 2 empty seats for Wilmore and Williams. But their return was postponed when NASA announced that Crew 10, who was due to relieve them, would not be blasting off until the end of March at the earliest. The mission is now scheduled to launch on March 12th, so that's a month from now, pending mission readiness. NASA announced explained that the change was agreed with SpaceX after adjustments were made to the original plan. So instead of using a brand new Dragon spacecraft that requires extra processing time, the Crew 10 mission will now use the previously flown one called Endurance. The astronauts will return to Earth following a handover period of several days. See, that's part of the delay. I'm like, rescue them. Well, they don't have to keep working. They don't have to still be on the clock. But apparently there's supposed to be a handover period because the International Space Station is so serious that the thing is if they're suffering, I understand I don't work for NASA, and I get there has to be, when I would leave my shift at the hospital, you had to give report. So all the staff were up to date. The nurses and the doctors were up to date on your patients who you were leaving. But man, I got that down in 15 minutes. It was time to go to bed. They didn't want me there longer. In January, Wilmore and Williams said their spirits were still high. They had plenty of food, and they said they were enjoying their time on the space station. They had to. Can you imagine a quote, on what they really thought? There's no way. I don't know if I would, would that get more results? If this was me, part of me would be like, what the hell is going on? Don't waste time interviewing. Get us back. What are you asking? It's a part of me would be like, what the hell do you think I'm doing? This was only supposed to be 8 days. How do you think I'm doing? Get me the hell home. The problem with that is then they might not come back and interview me. So if I want to still have contact, I got to play the game. That's probably what's happening. While their protracted stay is notable, they said it has not yet surpassed Frank Rubio's record-breaking 371 days aboard the ISS. He completed in 2023 after the Russian spacecraft designated for his return had a coolant leak. So this is the first time this type of stuff has happened. I really think that, when we're dealing with space, as much as I want to say somebody was half-assed on this, space is very unpredictable. And for us to, in an atmosphere on Earth, even if we try to mimic outer space conditions, it's still artificial. And this is why we do have issues, because there are unpredictabilities in space. Just we have human lives. And we probably should slow our roll on trying to colonize Mars until we could get this figured out. We have another airplane issue. A Boeing 737 MAX collided with an airport vehicle on the runway as it accelerated for takeoff. Now, this was a Brazilian airline. It happened while they were accelerating to take off from Rio de Janeiro. The plane was about to break. Oh, the plane was able to break. No injuries reported. But what the hell is going on? Now, this wasn't in America, but still, you'd think when you're flying that the airport standards would be the same. But the Gol Linhas Aéreas Inteligentes plane was about to fly from Rio de Janeiro's international airport to Fortaleza in northeastern Brazil on Tuesday. And the video showed the jet accelerating down the runway when a loud noise could be heard. And you're watching it from the plane, but then then you could tell it hit something. Yeah, thank God nobody died. The jet managed to break before reaching the end of the runway. The airport was is one of the world's longest runways at 13,000 feet. In an air traffic control recording published by a Brazilian newspaper, O Globo, the pilots could be heard saying they had aborted the takeoff because a car was in the middle of the runway. Why that was happening, I don't know. So, I travel a lot. My family travels a lot. People ask, what do you think of the current FAA and, current conditions, as we saw what happened with the DC airline, the flight from Wichita that ended up running into where a Black Hawk helicopter runs into it, and when you see the Medivac that dropped in Philly, and then the Scottsdale Airport plane crashing into another. It does make us nervous. I get nervous because we have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of flights every single day. And I am grateful for all the work everybody's doing. But the more we tempt fate, the more there's going to be issues. And I love to fly. I don't necessarily like being in the plane, but I'd rather do that than walking. I'd rather do that than driving across the country. But the truth of the matter is we're up in the sky in a tube. And even though air travel has been tried and true and tested, there could be human error, there could be airplane error. What really freaked me out was that Golden Wings cockpit issue where the pilot had a death wish and took the plane with it. And then people started discussing, well, we need to have automated planes, non-manned planes that we could control from the ground. Gosh, that would make me nervous. When you start to look at all the pieces, what if the air traffic control is not paying attention? We all think as long as I have a good pilot, trust me, those who had Captain Sully, with the Hudson plane crash, wow, that would be wonderful. But for the most part, you could be a great pilot, but there's other issues going on. My husband had a couple planes in his lifetime, and I'm glad he sold them. One, we needed the money. But two, I told him, I go, look, I trust you as a pilot. I just don't trust the mechanic. Or I don't trust if somebody could mess with the plane. I don't trust other issues. He told me one time he was trying to land, and air traffic control told him to use a runway, but there was another plane on it. And he's like, I can't use that runway. There's another plane. Oh, never mind. My bad. It's... pilots do take on the responsibility, and they know, but like what we happened with DC, You're concentrating. You're trying to land the plane, which, by the way, I've done flying lessons. To land a plane, it's, all right, radio silence. I'm landing the plane. Everybody kind of, don't talk to me about their BS. I need to do this. And it's very easy to mess up. That notwithstanding you now having other aircraft in the way. But still, and I stand by this, when pilots joke that the most dangerous part of flying is the drive to the airport, they're right. Statistically, the drive to the airport, your car ride, is more you have a higher risk of getting into a car accident than you do in a plane accident. It's just most of us could survive, hopefully, a car accident, not a plane crash. So do I feel, do I feel safe? I know now we have another, I guess, commercial airline in Tokyo that I think crashed. It's not easy. I just hope the airlines get, figure out what's going on and our plane safety and protocols are in place. But I'm still going to travel. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Sophia paused before the door. It read, Department of Bidigital Convergence. Just inside was a new world, a better world, the one of everlasting life, of no pain, of no loss, of no problem. She entered the chamber and her surroundings changed. She saw around her an infinite field of waving golden grain surmounted by cloudless blue sky. The AI voice whispered gently in her mind, Welcome to the singularity. Not perceiving the nightmare, her eyes had already been consumed and the rest of her body was dissolving as the bots digested her flesh. Could a nightmare vision like this be an outcome of the much-hyped transhumanist technological singularity? Enter the world of the future as illuminated by the experience of the past in Endgame, the new book by Dennis Barrett, the publisher of the New American Magazine, and find out how the disastrous COVID pandemic response fits with the technocratic elite's thirst to create a transhumanist utopia.
You can find Endgame the book at shopjbs.org or Amazon and Audible.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I had a patient, and again, I work for a telemedicine company that had these spots on them. Now, look like chickenpox, but I'm like, I wonder if this is Mpox. The person had chickenpox already. And I'm like, they really wouldn't be getting chickenpox again. Usually after you get chickenpox, it decides to quiesce and lie dormant in a nerve root. And then it could come out as shingles where you get a rash on one side of your body that's painful and blistery. But this rash was bilateral. And I'm like, gosh, I wonder if monkeypox is coming back. So I sent them to go get seen and tested. Well, yes, there is a new strain of monkeypox detected in the United States. According to the New York State Department of Health and Daily Mail, that they detected a case of clade I1b monkeypox, which also causes rashes of hands, feet, chest, face, mouth, and or genitalia. And it is related to the more deadly clade 1 monkeypox, or clade I monkeypox, which kills 3 to 11% of its patients and infects. But this strain is supposed to be less fatal, we're hoping. It's the 4th case to be detected in the U.S. since November 15th. Infections were detected in California, Georgia, and New Hampshire. New York State did not give further details on this case, but there are other cases detected in patients who returned to the U.S. from abroad. Now, we don't think the cases are linked. They say in California, the patient was described as having relatively mild illness, was isolating at home. In New Hampshire, the patient was also isolating at home. So these were 4 different areas of the country. Monkeypox clade 2 was the one that we've been dealing with since 2022. That's still present, but I think we've kind of kept it at bay. The outbreak since 2022 has sickened 34,000 people, and it's killed 58. in the U.S. So far, though, this year, 39 people have been diagnosed with monkeypox. So the numbers are going down, but they're still there. There are concerns that clade 1 or clade I is deadlier, and it could spread from Central Africa to the U.S. Clade 1b or IB is less severe. I can't tell if it's an I or a 1. Sorry about that. I think it's a 1. So Mpox is a viral infection, and you get it from direct contact with sores or rashes. What is very interesting is the earlier versions of Mpox you would get from respiratory. It would be able to be transmitted by respiratory droplet. But what we saw in 2022 was in populations that were sleeping together. So it needed, I guess, direct contact. And we saw it, sadly, in the men who sleep with men category, men who have sex with men category. And but they weren't necessarily immunocompromised with HIV. And so we thought that there might have been certain contact that could have spread it, even though there were people not in that community that got it as well. But when we saw an uptick with that, we started to urge vaccination. Symptoms can develop 3 to 17 days after infection, with signs including fever, chills, and a headache before the rash appears. Well, we're in flu season. We're in COVID season. So fever, chills, and a headache, many people are like, oh, it's just COVID or flu. Or they'll call in online for an antiviral. But then the rash could come. So we could treat them with tocovirimat or TPOXX. It's an antiviral that could stop the monkeypox virus from making copies of itself. Some of these lesions are very severe that you could actually get bacterial infections. These bacterial infections could then spread throughout the body, cause sepsis, can go to the brain, cause encephalitis and pneumonia. Because people say, how do you die from Mpox? How do you die from these viral rashes if they're viral and they die off on their own? It's because you could get a secondary infection or the inflammatory response. So the U.S. recommends avoiding direct skin-to-skin contact with people who have a rash that look like monkeypox. Again, they look like blisters or ulcers or bumps. And they're also advised to, not to use objects or materials that a monkeypox patient has used. Wash hands, especially after learning of exposure during sex. And in 2022, the U.S. initiated the Jynneos vaccine to men who have sex with men or who have had more than one sexual partner at higher risk. The World Health Organization declared this clade 1 monkeypox as a global public health emergency. Officials said an outbreak of the virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring counties pose as international concern. So we're hoping to kind of spread the word. Obviously, using condoms is great for preventing a lot of STDs, but Mpox you could be getting from skin to skin. So you need to be aware. And if a family member has these spots and you're like, well, it just might, just be chickenpox, take them in so we could test them. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So with bird flu, Yahoo News is reporting we have 68 human cases in 11 states. Public health risk is still low, but 68 cases. Now, people have been looking at our egg prices going, why aren't they coming down? Well, because of the bird flu and having to cull birds and eggs are going to go up. So is poultry. As of Tuesday, the CDC said the current public health risk is low as it pertains to bird flu, but 68 confirmed cases in 11 states. One died from H5N1. Now, last week, police said hundreds of eggs were stolen from a Seattle cafe just days after thieves stole 100,000 organic eggs from a distribution trailer in Pennsylvania. So now we have this black market of eggs. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I like eggs, but I know we cook with them and stuff, but really to steal, if you were a restaurant, would you really buy eggs that were stolen from somebody else? In recent months, they said cases of avian influenza have increased in animals, and not only just poultry, but dairy cows, even pet cats. So obviously this is a concern. In February 2022, over 138 billion birds were infected with H5N1. As of just this last month, 23 million birds were affected. So this is still rapidly growing. Nevada health officials confirmed on Monday that a dairy worker had been infected with a new strain of the bird flu, the first confirmed human case of bird flu in the state. The worker was exposed to an infected dairy cow after a new variant of the bird flu was detected on a farm in Churchill County last week. Most human cases are mild. Like we said, we've only had one person die, but this Nevada case was pretty significant in that, cattle can give it to each other, birds can give it to each other, but this was a new case and a new strain, which means the virus is mutating. And it means wild birds might have gotten to new sets of cows with newer strains. And so it's not going away. It's not staying static. It's evolving. And most of the human cases we are presuming are from human to animal. We do not believe we have confirmed cases of human to human. But once that happens, like COVID, that could be a big problem. They say hundreds of thousands of chickens in Jay County, Indiana, were determined to be infected with the bird flu in Indiana. These were 912,000 egg-laying hens. They're now under quarantine. The largest outbreak in Indiana occurred in January at the Seymour-based Rose Acre Farms. They are the second largest U.S. egg producer with over 2.6 million birds affected. They also say bird flu is suspected for hundreds of dead wild birds across 5 Michigan counties. They found 300 dead wild birds in multiple counties. Now, if you find a dead wild bird, don't be posing pictures, no selfies. Don't try to cook it. Get rid of it. Some New Jersey parks had to close after geese died of suspected bird flu. I love going to the park and feeding the geese. Don't touch them. 30 dead Canadian geese had to be removed over the weekend in Allentown. So we'll keep you guys posted. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So a common question I got yesterday was, what is wrong with Elon Musk's child? And I'm like, you mean the little 4-year-old? Yeah, something's wrong with that kid. Well, one, he's 4 years old. Okay, I mean, have you ever had a 4-year-old? But apparently the kid was sitting there picking his nose. That's what kids do. So we're going to talk about nose picking, why they do it and how to help them stop. But I looked at it the other way. I know some people were saying, oh, does he have hyperactivity? Does he have autism? Does he have ADHD? I always like to look at the glass as half full. Elon Musk was giving a presser in the Oval Office with President Trump in front of a room full of grown-ups, equipment, cameras, and grown-ups not smiling. And that little kid had no problem with it. He was able to, some kids are shy. They'll quickly turn their head into mommy or daddy. And, they won't want anybody to look at them, or they're like, I don't want to be here, or they would cry. Yeah, because people were saying, gosh, why is Elon Musk having his kid there in a press conference? He doesn't need his kid. He could have had a babysitter. His kid had no problem. The kid wanted to be with daddy. I know people are saying, look, now he's going to be memed for life picking his nose. If any of you guys have a picture of me as a little kid picking my nose, I don't mind. It's cute. It's adorable. It's a natural thing that kids do. But I look at it as the glass is half full. You had a 4-year-old kid who could stand there during a 15-minute, I don't know how long the press conference was, with all these grown-ups who were not necessarily smiling and going, coo. They were really trying to hit some heavy questions on transparency and conflict of interest and what's getting cut. And this kid, he was fine. He was with his daddy. He was talking to the president. He's only 4 years old. So, I know a lot of people want to be, doctors and healthcare professionals and try to throw the diagnosis out there saying, I knew he had this or I know, but I mean, let the kid be 4 years old. I'm going to tell you right now, the average 4-year-old would not have been able to do that. And, maybe, if there is, let's say, some issue, let's say with any child on the spectrum or whatever, they're very intelligent. They and not everybody fits a stereotype. And so this kid was able to be around, and maybe it's because he always grew up around people. Maybe Elon Musk takes his kid to work all the time. I did with my kids. My kids were always with me wherever I went, wherever I traveled, whatever. And they saw patients with me sometimes, and I wanted them comfortable around people. So that's what I got from this kid, that he was comfortable around people. In fact, so comfortable that he didn't mind picking his nose in front of them. Now, nose picking. We like to break that habit as soon as possible, but it's a very, very common habit. Remember, babies, we call them obligate nose breathers, because when they have to breastfeed, and they're sitting there for 15 minutes sometimes, or they fall asleep, they need to be able to breathe through their nose. And so it's very important to make sure a child's nasal airway is open. Now, a lot of us are like, oh, my nose is stuffed, so I'm just going to breathe through my mouth. But kids breathe through their nose. When their nose gets stuffy or there feels like there's something in them, instinctively they go to their nose. Not to mention kids like holes. They have a little hole, so they're going to stick their finger in the hole. They also stick their fingers in their ears. They also like to stick their fingers in daddy's ears or mommy's ears. Easier for daddy's ears because mommy's ears are always covered with hair. So it's a very, very common thing. So when a young child is sticking their finger in their nose, it's common. But you also have to think, why? Is it itching? Are they having trouble breathing? Are they congested? Are they bored? Are they fidgety? Are they hungry? I've seen kids eat their boogers because they're hungry. You don't want them eating their boogers. It's salt and mucus and dry dirt. You don't want them doing that. So we, by 3 years old, usually before preschool, work with these kids on don't touch your nose, don't touch your nose, don't pick your nose. Don't do that. It usually takes another kid in class to say, "Ooh, he's picking his nose," and usually one kid that does that stops it all. But if you're a parent and you have a young child that's picking their nose, you just need to figure out why. Take a look in their nose. Are they sick? Are they? I've had kids diagnose their own ear infection by picking their nose, and it tells the parent there's something going on with their eustachian tube. They're trying to open it up. Because again, they were born as obligate nose breathers. They need their nose clear. Also, as parents, what did we keep doing? Suctioning their nose. Whenever it got full of gook, we would suction their nose to help them breathe. So they were trained on something's going into your nose, something's cleaning out your nose. I didn't do a lot of nasal suction. I taught my kids how to blow my nose. I remember trying to teach the older one, you need to blow it out. And he was like, no, I go, no, you're breathing in, you got to blow it out. And he couldn't do it. I was like, okay, forget it. Just, forget it. But luckily, my boys were not nose pickers. They also weren't thumb suckers. I don't know why. One really liked his binky, but we were able to break him of that habit quickly when we needed to. But they really weren't, I always got something in my mouth. But my kids were not. I don't even think I was a thumb sucker. I don't know. So every kid is different. So when you do try to break them of the habit, and I would say when you do start to see them do it at 2-3 years old, very gently say, don't do that. It's dirty. And I like that. I know somebody like, oh, you used a negative term and you said don't do. You know what? I'm okay with that. I mean, as long as you're not saying bad boy and you're getting a beating. Because kids at that age are learning not to touch things that are dirty. So they'll start to touch something like, don't touch it, it's dirty. That's dirty. That's dirty. Now, we train parents where whenever you say don't, give them a positive to do instead. You want to have them transition to something. But if you're in a hurry and you're sitting there and the kid is sticking his finger in his nose, you're not going to have a realistic alternative to give them something, especially if now they have a booger on their finger. You're really going to give them an apple? You don't want them to eat the apple with the booger. So at that point, just say, don't do that. We don't do that. Those are things we don't do. That's okay. Like I said, you don't have to beat them. You don't have to make them feel bad. You could still say, that was good what you did. That was good. And when they don't touch their nose, go, that was good. You didn't touch your nose. Now, if you do need to touch your nose, here's a Kleenex. So anytime you want to touch your nose, ask mommy for a Kleenex, or here's a Kleenex in your pocket. And then now they'll start to stick the Kleenex up in their nose, and you're like, no. And then you teach them how to blow it. And it's a process. So if you need to transfer to a Kleenex. But if you're in a hurry, it is okay to say, no, bring the hand down. You don't have to smack the hand. You don't have to bridle their hands. You don't have to restrain them, nothing like that. And then one thing that also works is, okay, we have to wash our hands. You touch your nose, so we have to wash our hands. Like, I got to do it again? Yeah, because you touch your nose and your nose is dirty. Why is my nose dirty? Well, because you got sticky boogers. These are things that have dirt on them. That's why you don't eat them. And you can explain all that to them. Some kids are nervous. They have anxiety. A lot of parents ask me, my child is always touching their genitals. Why do they do that at 4 years old or 5 years old or 6 years old? Some boys, when they're nervous, they'll do that. Again, I'm lucky my boys didn't, because I'd be giggling, say, come on, stop. But sometimes they do that because they get nervous and they're trying to. So you always have to kind of look at the why. So that you could, again, transfer that behavior to something else. 1-8, like hold your doll closer than, 1-877 Doc Dali.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.